Okay. Wow, welcome to Comms Network, Comms and Croissants round number 2. This is amazing. We started this earlier this year on a whim. A room was available, and we thought, let's get some communications people from this incredible communication space in Geneva together. A lot of people turned up, many more than expected in May, and born was the Comms Network, and we are the Comms Network. I said it last time, there's no secretariat, there's no sponsor behind this, there's a sponsor for this event, but the rest of it is just us. It's just this community, and this is what makes it special. So thank you for turning up, this is amazing. Give yourself a hand. That one. But also, we would not be here today if the Medicine Patent Pool and their comms director, Jelise, had not thought this equally amazing when we first met in May and had immediately been open to a conversation about a follow-up, and the follow-up is here today. So thank you so much, Medicine Patent Pool. Thank you so much, Jelise, for getting us all here together. Thank you. We would not be here without you. And this amazing venue, it really is a truly amazing venue. I don't know if some of you have been here before, but it's super cool. It's GIGA's venue. GIGA is an initiative by the ITU and UNICEF with the aim of getting internet to every school in the world. They put this at our disposal. Yannick, thank you so much. Also, congratulations on being a father, Yannick, very recently. Okay, so this is not working anymore. All right. I'm gonna use my very loud voice. So this is the concept is like last time. You remember there's supposed to be no speeches, no slides, but now there's a few speeches. We wanted to spice it up a little bit this time. We're going to have Yannick as the host say a couple of words to us in a minute, please. I'll then ask Jelise from the Medicine Patent Pool to address us, please, also. And then we have Sarah Noble. You probably all know Sarah Noble. If not in person, you've probably seen her TED Talks. You've seen her not only co-founding, but also curating the Peace Talks in Geneva, which just concluded. She leads engagement at the Co-Initiatives for Change, and is just an all-around storytelling master person, and is going to give us a masterclass in the art of storytelling after that. So that's it. With that said, Yannick, the floor is yours.
Great, Bijan. Thank you so much. So, I'm Yannick. I'm delighted to welcome you all here at the Giga Connectivity Center. It's been only 4 months. We're open, so we're happy to see the space being activated with more events going on. Giga is a joint initiative, as you said, between the ITU and UNICEF with one goal. It is to connect every school in the world to the internet by 2030, and we do so by working with the governments. There is a big issue that addresses us all. It's the challenge of the digital divide. There's 2.6 billion people in the world, about a third of mankind, still not connected to the internet. It's a lot. And we need more collaboration, we need more synergies across the many bubbles, especially here in Geneva, to address this need, but also ensuring that we don't leave people behind. So Giga is one of the many initiatives addressing the digital divide, and we are providing tools, maps, infrastructure mappings to help governments as they implement their digital connectivity strategies better. And at the end of the day, we needed a home. So back in 2021, we launched an appeal asking who wants to host us, and the Swiss government managed to convince us to open an office here in Geneva. So this is the HQ of Giga, from which we are working around the world. And it's not just our space. 70% of all SDGs can be enhanced as we look at digital connectivity. So we all have something to do with the connectivity. So we want to do more, engaging with more of us as we all work on trying to make connectivity work for everybody. So have a great event. Thank you for being here. And if you want to know more about Giga, feel free to look at the Giga Maps website, the Giga website, to give you a bit of an idea. But have a great event, Bijan. Let's do this again?
Let's do this again, yes. Janice, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
I don't know if the mic works by now, but you...
It's okay, I can use my voice.
oh, it does work. If
It
you
does.
want it, it's
I
here.
didn't. Are you all right with me using the mic because you've put one on my lapel as well? I don't know. Or will it make it a lot of noise? It's okay. Or I could just talk really loudly. So my name is Jalise McCulloch, and I'm the Director of Communications at the Medicines Patent Pool. So as communicators, we are often faced with different challenges of how do you tell a story that is technical and policy-driven, and yet deeply human. And at the Medicines Patent Pool, that's exactly the space that we work in. And so I want to share a little bit about our comms approach. So Medicines Patent Pool, or MPP, was founded in 2010 by Unitaid. And at that point, there was, patents are out there for 20 years, and there was certainly a lack of HIV treatments in low and middle income countries. So we initially set up to address that gap of HIV, and then we broadened to hepatitis, to non-communicable diseases, and cardiovascular diseases as well. So our goal is to make sure that people living in low and middle income countries have access to the medicines that they need. And our role is unique. We negotiate voluntary licenses between pharmaceutical companies, so the originator company. We then allow the generic manufacturers to take out those licenses, and we work with governments to ensure the uptake happens in those countries. And so we'd like to see ourselves as creating a win-win solution that saves lives. So let's just talk quickly a few numbers. Here in Switzerland, if you're living with HIV, you'll get fantastic treatment at the hospital in Geneva. It will probably cost the Swiss government 20 to 30,000 Swiss francs per year to treat you. That sort of cost is just not possible in a low and middle income country. So Vive Healthcare, who is GSK owned, brought out a medicine, or at that point called dolutegravir. Maybe some of you in the public health space have heard about this medicine. And this medicine, their market is the north, but actually selling it in low and middle income countries was less attractive to them. So we were very lucky to have a license given to us in 2014 with Vive, and 15 generic manufacturers actually make dolutegravir regimens now, generic medicines that are in Kenya. So Eunice is from Kenya, here's from Gabby. And so in a country like Kenya today, that medicine per person per year is probably about 35 Swiss francs. So that's what we're looking at. So millions actually have access to the quality medicines. And not only that, in Switzerland, the person living with HIV is probably taking 2 medicines a day, whereas the person in Kenya just has 1 pill a day. So we've actually managed with our generic manufacturers to make actually a better version of the medicine, which is actually available in the north. Now, when it comes to communication, we could spend all our time talking about patents, molecules, and markets, but our approach has been different. We put people at the heart of our storytelling, because behind every license, there is a mother trying to give a child a medicine. There is a patient waiting to see if that medicine is there available for them. And of course, there's a manufacturer who would like to be able to provide that medicine to the region. So we balance facts with feelings. On one hand, we show that the license has enabled 140 million patient life years of treatments and delivered exceptional return on investment, but we know that numbers don't inspire. What touches people and what motivates us funders are the human stories, the faces, the voices that bring our mission to life. That's why transparency and trust are so central to our communication strategy. We publish our licenses openly, we share our results generously, and we speak in a way that shows not just what we do, but why it matters. So in the end, our job at MPP Comms, and my team is here with Bob, Heloise, Shihan, I forgot to mention that they're here today as well, who work with me on this. So our job in the end is to make sure that the world understands our model and why it works. When people hear us, we want them to walk away knowing not only that licensing saves lives, but it's also a feeling of fairness and urgency of our mission. So my question to my fellow communicators in the room is, how can we make sure that even the most technical and complex of work, whether patents, particles, or health systems, always connects back to the human. And I'm very looking forward to hearing Sarah on this. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, it's working. Good. Once upon a time, there was a huge fire in the forest, and all of the animals came out of the forest and were watching their home burn. They were paralyzed and hopeless and didn't know what to do. All of them, except for a little hummingbird, who said, I'm going to do something. So this little hummingbird, which is a little bird with little wings, flapped as fast as it could, and it went to a stream, and it picked up a drop of water. And it went and flew as fast as it could and dropped it on the huge fire. And the little hummingbird kept on going back and forth, as fast as its little wings could carry it. And all the while, other animals, like the elephant, that has a huge trunk that could carry much more water, just stood there, hopeless. And as this little hummingbird was going back and forth, carrying water as fast as it could, the other animals looked at it and said, this fire is too big and you're too little. Your wings are so small, your beak is so small. What can you do? What difference can you make? So as the animals continued to discourage it, this little hummingbird kept going back and forth, and finally it stopped. It looked at them and it said, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm doing the best that I can. Now, I tell this story because this is my favorite story. The first time I heard it, and many of you may have heard the story before, was being told by Wangari Maathai, the Kenyan Nobel Peace Prize laureate who won the Peace Prize for her efforts in environmental conservatism. There's a great video online that exists of her telling this with a beautiful video animation. And every time I feel that the world is on fire, I watch her tell this story. And the story itself and the way that she tells it really makes me think about my choices and my behavior as a human. And the reason is because stories have incredible power. We all know this as communicators, but my main message for you today in this very concise masterclass is storytelling is a real-life human superpower that's not only for communicators, although you are very gifted in this superpower, but it's something that each and every one of us can do. And it's a question of also what kind of stories that we tell. So we're hardwired for stories because it's how we make sense of the world. And we've been telling stories since the ancient times when we had cave paintings depicting the trials and tribulations of daily life, all the way now to the latest episode of Emily in Paris on Netflix. It's funny, but stories are critical because they have been so vital to how we've evolved as humans. And this matters now more than ever. So we really need to think about what kinds of stories that we're sharing and the impact that they have on the people around us. So stories are so powerful for a few reasons. And if you allow me to geek out a little bit, I'm very interested in neuroscience. So when you're listening to a story, what's actually happening in your brain is that you're experiencing either the story that you're listening to or the movie that you're watching, and your brain can't tell the difference as to whether or not you're actually doing it or seeing it. So that's why you can be sitting in a movie theater and just sitting there eating your popcorn, having a nice drink, and then you have this action scene in front of you and your heart is beating really fast and you're sweating, even if you're just sitting there. It's because your brain is coupling with the story that you're watching it, and it thinks that it's experiencing itself. So in a way, stories are our original metaverse because they are a technologically free way of getting people to go to places to experience things that they may never have ever done before. Another thing about stories, which you were also saying, is that it's when we listen to a presentation about facts, and facts are very important, a small part of our brain lights up. But when we listen to a story, and if that story also has facts in that, our whole entire brain lights up. So it's really about how we engage the brain and the understanding of the information that we're receiving. And where it gets even more powerful, and this is where I want to talk about emotions, and particularly the one around fear and hope, is that emotions are contagious. So neuroscientists call this emotional contagion. So I'm going to try a little experiment. I'm going to ask you to look to the person to your right, if you have one. And if you don't, then look to the person to your left. Okay? Okay, so look them in the eye. Look at the person next to you in the eye. And smile. Okay? Okay, do you see what's happening? This is called emotional contagion. It is that our emotion, we can catch the smile, we can catch hope, but we can also catch other emotions. So we can also catch fear. So now I want you to think about a story, and this, unfortunately, in our current world, it's quite easy to think about a story that left you feel discouraged or helpless. Take a minute just to think about a story, and how does it make you feel in your body? So pride doesn't make you feel very good. Fear shuts us down. Our brains are hardwired when we actually hear very fearful stories to shut down. And academic research has shown that the more discouraged you actually feel after reading negative news, the less likely you are actually going to take action in the world. So fear is a very powerful emotion that can also cause us to take inaction. Okay, so let's shake this out. Shake your body, shake it out of your body. Okay. So now I want to talk about hope. And not hope in terms of like unicorns or fluffy, puffy clouds, but hope in the real sense, which is really the ability to imagine a different reality and a belief that it's possible. Okay? So the ability to imagine a different reality and a belief that it's possible. So since we're at a networking and comms and communicator event, I'm going to ask you again to turn to the person next to you, and we're going to take 1 minute. Each person has 1 minute, so we're going to take 2 minutes. And you are going to tell the person next to you a story. It can be personal, it can be from the news, or you can make it up on the spot, that left you feeling hopeful. Okay? So 1 minute, something that made you feel hopeful, and you have 1 minute to do it, starting now. Okay, we're wrapping up on our 1 minute. And now we're going to switch. So if you haven't told a story that made you hopeful, tell that to your partner, please. All right, folks, we're going to bring it back. We're going to wrap up our story. All right, everybody, we're going to come back. I'm going to raise my hand. We're going to... So do you notice a difference in the energy when you think about fearful stories and when you think about hopeful stories? Hope isn't meant to erase our problems. And I think this is very important because it's not just about not focusing on the negative, but it's about how stories are framed and how the information is put out there as opposed to just doom and gloom, because we do have many, many challenges facing the world. You all work for organizations that are doing incredible things to address many of these global challenges. And you need to talk about the challenges, but you also need to think about how you offer the solutions in a hopeful way so that people can see that a different reality is possible and that they have a feeling that it actually can, a belief that it can happen. So as we think about the stories that we share about organizations, I wanted to share a little bit about the organizations that I work for. So I'm the curator of the Peace Talks, which is a storytelling platform about peace. So you may think to yourself, well, you turn on the news today and everything is about war. Why do we even think about peace? So 13 years ago, Interpeace, together with some other organizations, thought we need to tell a story about peace in a different way that isn't necessarily talking about the work that we do, because maybe it's a bit nitty-gritty and maybe not everybody's going to understand all of the intricacies, but we want to tell a collective story about peace by getting people to share their personal stories. So real people who are making a difference on the ground, building peace. And it's not a perfect story because peace is an ongoing process. But every year on the International Day of Peace, we host an event called the Geneva Peace Talks, where people come and share their stories of peace as a way of getting people to understand that peace isn't an abstract concept, but it's something that's very, very human, and it's through people's stories that we're able to showcase a different narrative around peace, as opposed to getting up and talking about each of our organizations and all of the nitty-gritty things we do, which is important. I'm not saying that that's not important, but it's interesting. It's an interesting partnership model also because the main brand is peace and not a specific organization. I know that we all need to also brand our organizations and talk about what it is that we do, but there are perhaps instances where the bigger causes that we're trying to work for might like to have a bit more partnership and focus on the solutions as opposed to just our own individual organizations. Bijan mentioned I also work at the Co-Initiatives of Change Foundation. So we work to build trust across the world's divides. We have a beautiful dialogue center above Montreux, which you can all come to. We host forums in the summertime. And one of the big focuses of Initiatives of Change is the importance of storytelling for change. So what happens when people share their story about the steps that they've taken in their life to forgive somebody? And what happens when they share that publicly for the person themselves and also the people around them? Because when you see somebody that has overcome a lot of challenges in their life, you might just say to yourself, well, if they were able to forgive that person, what can I do differently in my life? So stories are so powerful. And I really hope today you leave feeling like you are all storyteller superpowers, and you have this superpower, and you go back into your organization and also empower all of your colleagues, because everyone is a storyteller. Stories are all around us. We tell stories all the time. And often we think we have to be a specialist to tell stories. Obviously, you can get training on how to tell a really good story or in the techniques, but at its core, stories are all around us. We're born into stories. People tell stories about us even before we're born. They tell stories about us all the time. So stories are who we are. It's what makes us human. And I focused a lot, perhaps more on Peace Talks and Co, and it's more positive. But at the same time, I used to work at the New Humanitarian, not as a journalist, but working on their comms, which is a nonprofit news service that reports on humanitarian crises. And the stories that our editorial team would write about are all about hunger, war, disaster. And so they spent a lot of time thinking about how to tell the story in a way that would connect to an audience, because often people switch off with the negative news, as I mentioned, and also thinking very carefully about how people in these countries and in these situations want their story told, because that's equally important in terms of ethical storytelling. And so often they would say, if you tell somebody that 270 million people are going to be displaced because of climate change, your initial reaction might be like, oh, wow, that's pretty bad. But then maybe like 2 minutes later, it'd be like, okay, and what's next? But then if you tell a story, so the editorial team did a story about the political collapse of Lebanon, not through social political dynamics, but by following WhatsApp messages of 5 people. And they shared that, and that's something that other people can relate to. So I think when we think about the challenges that we face, often when we talk about crises, people are victims, survivors, they're refugees, they're nameless. And we have a habit of often defining people by their problems. And the author Chimamanda Adichie reminded us about the danger of a single story. So if we tell a story about somebody and we show people as one thing, they often become that thing. But I recently discovered the opposite of that, which is called asset framing. So it's seeing the dream before the problem. So coming back to the hummingbird story, it's about seeing that the hummingbird is doing the best that it can and being inspired by it, as opposed to seeing a tiny animal that probably can't make much of a difference by itself. So we need to tell more hopeful stories, and we need to see our dreams before our problems. Every one of you is a storyteller. If we are able to share more stories of hope, and if you're able to share more of what your organization is doing and the causes that you're doing, I believe in a small way we can all contribute to putting out some of the big fires in our world today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That was amazing. What a tour de force of storytelling. You are a masterful storyteller. So what are the takeaways for us? What I hear, both from Jalise, from Sarah, of course, is about putting people first. As Tara, who knows that from the IAS, that's our IAS slogan, our motto, putting people first. But what does that really mean, putting people first? I mean, and what does that mean in storytelling? So what I hear from you is, first of all, who tells the story, right? People are interested in people. We are fundamentally interested in human beings. We're not interested in brands. So you will follow Michael Jordan on Insta. You're not going to follow Nike, right? You're going to follow, or you used to follow Kofi Annan rather than the UN. We're interested in people. So who tells the story is the first thing. Make it a person tell the story. That's why I always encourage our colleagues, our leaders, our executive directors to be the actual spokesperson, number one. Number two, better even, if the people you talk about can be the actual spokespeople. Empower the people you talk about to talk to the thing that concerns them. And that not everybody is an amazing storyteller, even if you're an affected, or if you're the person that the issue is about. That's not going to make you an amazing storyteller. There's a craft, there's an art to storytelling. And what I heard from you is that at some point in the storytelling, there is a transformation happening. You're telling a story about a transformation. And now to come back to the famous reports that no one reads, we have all of the opposite there, don't we? We have a logo, an acronym, not a human, that tells a story about an issue rather than about a human. May make reference to an issue, to a human from time to time, but it's a logo talking about an issue. What we need is a person talking about their reality that references the issue. Voila. Finally, for us, and I think this is a challenge that many of us face, I've certainly faced it, we're rarely empowered to do that for our organizations and comms. We're often technical people. So I think we need to, I think we all know this, and and this is not new, but I think there's a reckoning happening. There's a reckoning in our field. Our stories have not landed, right? It's easy for governments and funders to cut us out under the applause of the population. So clearly our value proposition hasn't landed with the people it needs to land with. So I think we now have a case to go back to our executive directors and to our funders and to our leaders to say, we need to turn this model around, empower us, the comms people, to be more than your technical team. Empower us to be your strategic partner. This is when you are going to get the best out of us, your comm staff, and we are hungering for that. We're thirsting for, we're begging for that empowerment, and some of us might be lucky to have organizations that are open-minded in that way, and others might be less lucky and have organizations that are slightly more, do it the way we've always done it. So my message to you is, let's lobby for ourselves as a comms team. We're the comms network. This came out of nowhere a few months ago. It's amazing so many of you showed up. We are a power to be reckoned with. Our field is in grave danger. That means people that we work for are in grave danger, and that means that we need to lobby and advocate for doing comms differently. We need to talk differently. We need to do a different kind of storytelling. So let's raise our voices together, but before that, let's get more coffee, let's get more croissants. And let me say a massive, massive thank you to Giga for hosting us. A massive thank you to you, Jelise and MPP, for making all of this possible. The croissants and the coffee that you're drinking, you wouldn't be drinking if it weren't for Jelise. And then let's face it, the room would be much, much smaller. And yes, please come to me if you're an organization that would like to collaborate on a future Comms and Croissants event with me, with us, and that's that. There's a question. Yes, please.
Sorry, hi, I'm Mel. Worked in many, many organizations over the years, and like all of you, have probably been trying to fight for better storytelling, and comms is always like, oh yeah, comms over there. And now it's even worse, and you're saying that we need to fight for this, but at the same time, the elephant in the room is our numbers are getting cut, like in some cases by more than half. So it's great, and I think that you hit the nail right on the head, that we do need to lobby. But in addition to telling stories differently, we need to lobby differently. Mm-hmm. So this room is a force. Mm-hmm. So rather than just leaving it at that, because you just scraped the surface, what can we actually do together, building on the massive experience, intelligence, and creativity in this room, to actually together as a force convince our sometimes reluctant senior leadership that there is a better way. Mm-hmm. So going over to coffee and croissants and everything, I would love to talk to you guys and hear what you think, because I'm sure you're all thinking, oh, if only we could do this. Why don't we do that?
So the only thing that has ever changed anything is organize, 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 right? And this is what I hear you say. So let's organize. Let's lift comms and croissants and the comms network from a very friendly group on WhatsApp and Substack and unite our voice. So if we want to...
Have our next meeting under the broken chair.
Yes. Yeah. Well, look, all of you, those of you who are already part of the comms network, great. Those of you who aren't, who are joining for the first time, you now are. You will all be joined to the Substack, which is the mailing list, and then you can add yourselves to the WhatsApp community. So this is the platform that we can organize on, and then we can start articulating what we articulated into a message, into a report. No, we can articulate it.
Right, is more what I was
Yeah, I'm like, I would love, I'm the only person in comms where I work, and I'm like, if I was to strike, they would see how important comms is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we could write a story, to like basically do a book, write a book.
Or we could kidnap them and put them in
You would definitely say something more serious. I'm like, you want like newspaper.
Business as usual is not working.
Comms people like scaling some sort of building event.
No, I think it's a great idea. So let's try to put some thoughts together, and maybe we can articulate. The comms network can absolutely go out. We are the comms network. No one can tell us not to. Can absolutely send out the message and saying, we're observing what's happening. We're devastated by what's happening to our field. We're devastated by what's happening to our colleagues. And there is a better way. Empower us, help us. doing the way we've done it with the famous reports and all of that is not going to, that isn't working, right? Yeah. Okay.
Can I just quickly add on, our campaign here, Licensing Saves Lives. This whole campaign is a fundraising campaign that we're doing at MPP. Comms are an integral part of that. It's us who have been working with LinkedIn. It's us who've put the stories together. So, we're lucky enough at MPP, and maybe because I also sit on the senior management team, it's seen as an important position to have within it, and Charles Gore is absolutely amazing in that sense. Comms is his area. But I think we do have a great role, and yes, I think more organizations do need to recognize comms at that top echelon and say, no, we are here to make the funds come in. We need to get that message out there 7 times to people, because they're not going to come to you if they don't hear about you. And then all that emotion and communication side has to come with it. So I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's not about comms.
No.
It's not about our jobs. It's not about us being right or wrong. Every single one of us is working for organizations that are trying to make the world a better place. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, we need to convince people to support us. And in order to do that, we need to convince the higher-ups, the donors, the whatever, that, babies shouldn't die. Like, it seems like a straightforward fact, but they're not getting it. So it's not about making our roles more important. It's about using our skills so that we can help them help other people so that babies don't die.
Yeah. It seems like there's an incentive problem with organizations where an executive director isn't surrounded by the incentives that is going to naturally guide that person, unless that person is very by themselves getting it right. But unless they're getting the comms thing, there's no incentives that are going to force, quote unquote, an executive director to empower their comms team. How often have we noticed that an executive director is using our comms service for another newsletter that goes to the board because they care about what the board says or what the donors think? So we become this weird internal communication thing that serves internal power centers, and rather than doing what we're actually there to do. And so the incentive structure for executive directors is all wrong. It's not their fault. That's just how the system works. But this is something we need to put our finger on. And this is something that funders also need to understand. I don't think funders realize that. Funders have no interest in curtailing the effectiveness of the thing they're funding. So I think we can articulate these things. I think we all know that these truths, can articulate them, and then make our voice heard. I mean, that's what we as a comms network can do, and so let's do that. I propose to continue the conversation around coffee, but please also on the WhatsApp group, and we can form subgroup. Get in touch with me. Get in touch with each other. Make this a network that's alive, that lives beyond the comms and Croissants meetings, which is the only time we actually meet in person. But there's nothing stopping us meeting in person beyond those comms and Croissants things too. So I thank you for taking the initiative on that. Please also lead. I love doing this. This is so much fun. The energy is always so great with everyone here. The first one was amazing. This one is amazing. But if more people come and help take this off the ground and take it into a new direction, I'm super open to that, super thankful to that. So the sky's the limit. All right. Well, let's go back to Coffee and Croissants. Get croissants before they're gone.